In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create a bird's eye view cityscape using a vanishing point and some perspective lines. As you can see in this photograph of a city, it's taken from above, from the bird's eye view, meaning we're above our subject, our city, and you can see the tops of buildings which have the different shapes. Most of them are rectangles or squares, and then the lines that those buildings make towards the ground all follow a line that leads to one point called our vanishing point that's in the center. So our vanishing point is going to be in the center, and all of the perspective lines that go down the buildings, down the windows, are going to go there from the sides of the shape on top. And that is how we are going to create a scene that looks 3D and it looks like we are above it. So what we'll need today is a piece of paper, a pencil, an eraser if you have one. If not, you should be okay. And something that is straight. So I'm using the straight edge of a thick piece of paper, but you can use a book, a piece of cardboard, anything that you can find that has a straight edge that you can push against. I'm going to use that straight edge to make straight lines. So I'm lining it up horizontally on my paper, back and forth, and I am going to create lines to create a street that we are looking down at. So I'm going to also include those lines that we normally see in the middle of a street. I got a little bit wonky with my straight edge, so I just went back in to fix them. I didn't even erase. So sometimes we don't need erasers. We can just kind of trace over our lines and we are good to go. And now I'm going to start getting ready to add my buildings that are going to be on the side of that street. I'm just going to do a bunch of different sized lines that I will then turn into rectangles or squares to be the tops of those buildings. So I'm just adding them in different places and using my straight edge to make sure that my lines are straight. Sometimes we think we draw straight lines, but in reality they come out a little bit wonky. So every time I move my piece of paper so that it matches where I want to draw my line. And I'll go through and I'll turn all of these shapes closest to the street, lines into shapes. Once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go in and add a vanishing point to the middle of my street. This is how I'm going to create the fronts and sides of my buildings. So I have the shape for the top, and then I'm going to start with the building that's closest to the vanishing point and touch the corner and the vanishing point to each other, but I stop once I hit the street. And I can see that those back corners would go through my building, so I don't need to use those. And I'm doing it again. I start at the corner, match it to my vanishing point, and then draw a line on my straight edge until it hits the street. This one doesn't go through my building, so I take it all the way down to the street. And now I have two buildings that look 3D like we're above them. I'll do the same with my other buildings, corner to vanishing point, and then stop once I hit another line. Sometimes it's another building and sometimes it's the road. So touching my straight edge, but not drawing a line all the way through. I just stop once I hit that street. And I'm almost done with all my buildings in the front. So corner to vanishing point, and then draw a line to the street. Corner to vanishing point, and then draw a line. That time it hit a building, so I can leave it as is. Actually, it looks like there might need to be a straight line here, so I will add that in for the bottom of my building. I can play around with it and it starts to look 3D. You can add that anywhere you want. You don't have to though. And then I'm going to do the same thing for my buildings in the back, except they won't hit the street. They will hit the bottom or the top of my other buildings. So again, just making the tops of the buildings into a shape, I'll make them into rectangles and then connect those corners until they hit another line. Always making sure that my straight edge touches that vanishing point, not just putting my straight edge down and making up where those lines will go. So making sure that the point touches a corner and then stops when I hit another line. So point touches the corner, and then I have a bunch of 3D buildings that look like we're standing above them or flying above them. And now I'm going to flip my paper around and just start adding some details or fixing anything that I don't necessarily like. So I can add in windows, I can add in gardens on the top of roofs. I can do whatever I want now that I have my buildings already there. So I'm adding all sorts of things to my roof. You can also add things down on the street like sidewalks or cars, but it does take a lot of time. So don't worry about finishing this week. Just get as much as you can done and then send me a picture of your progress on our submission for this week. Can't wait to see it.